To another Ziti TV. It's another Friday, 11 a.m. East Coast time. And one of the things that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about the zrock VPN here on Ziti TV. Very exciting. And we're going to be talking to the fella that implemented the whole thing, and that is Eugene. Let's bring Eugene on and make him the same size as me. There we go. Hey, Eugene. Welcome
Hello,
back.
hello everyone. Yeah,
How's
be back.
things? It's
Been
been
things been going.
it's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So zrock VPN is kind of interesting. What exactly would you say zrock VPN is?
So at this point, Zrock VPN is a very simple uh, host-to-host VPN solution where you would create a VPN server, so to speak, in your home office or real office or whatever in your data center, and you can VPN into it from anywhere really in the
That's
world
that's cool.
through using Zrock. And basically using the same zrock, share access pattern, like for everything else.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty neat. Now, what are the major differences between, say, a VPN and using like backend mode of TCP?
So backend mode of TCP and really like other backend modes, right? It gives you the single network address that you can access, right? Be single host with a port. If it's HTTP, it's also going to be single HTTP server, single endpoint HTTP server. What VPN actually gives you is access to any network service on that host.
Oh, okay. So it's basically all ports.
All ports, yes.
Okay.
So this is kind of initial implementation to see what if it was feasible, how it was feasible, how easy it was.
And
Um,
now, when I think of a VPN, I think of the other kind of VPN where I'm sitting at home and I want people to, I want to surf my Netflix or whatever it is from anywhere, or I want to be safe from, the internet cafe. It's not that kind of VPN.
so this is so what you're talking about is not a VPN, in my opinion. So what you're talking about is anonymizing proxy,
An
right?
anonymizing proxy. Nice.
Right. Especially if you say go to Europe and you want to watch Netflix as if you were in US, right?
Hmm.
That'll be one thing, but it's not a VPN, right? Because you're not really connecting to any private network. Remember,
Right.
PN in a VPN is stands for private network, but your accessing is actually
Something public.
public,
Your virtual public network.
right? So zero VPN is actually is true original meaning of VPN. It gives you access to some private resource behind the firewall and behind some that not really accessible from the public internet.
Cool. I don't know why I was trying to share my screen again and stop my sharing, come back again. Share. Oh, that's why I chose not my entire screen was why. Because what I wanted to do, well, let me click. I wanted to bring up the documentation and let's make it comically large as I do. We do have a VPN section down here. Eugene pointed me to this before. So if you haven't come out and you haven't gotten started yet and you haven't enabled your environment, you definitely want to get ahead. Go ahead and do all that stuff. And then when you want to try out the VPN guide, you can come out here to the VPN under guides, very easy to find, and start trying out Xerox VPN mode, which is pretty cool. Now, one of the things that tripped me up personally, because I generally don't add the environment to my sudo commands, is when I run this, I do have to run it as sudo, right? And I think it even says that in here, sudo. Yeah. Now, why does it need to be sudo?
So the first thing that mode does, it needs to create a virtual network device, and usually that capability is reserved for super user on really any OS. Like regular users cannot create network devices. So that's why you need an elevated an elevated privilege to create those devices. So
Hmm.
you run it with sudo, and you want to pass -E flag so that your environment is preserved and the zrock finds your zrock configuration files.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you use headless mode. If you're not familiar with headless mode, what does headless mode do?
So if you're familiar with zrock, when you start it up without that flag, it goes into like curses command terminal application mode with like 3 different sub windows or panes that display various things there. The headless mode is just doesn't do any of that. It just logs the stuff to standard out. I did it for this documentation so that I didn't have to, post the whole screen into
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Well,
But you
I
can run
think
it with that headless mode or without it. It's totally up to you.
yeah. I mean, some of us are we like to see the text a little bit better than say screenshots, but you can, like you said, you can certainly run it without headless mode. And I've actually done all my testing here in the last 30 minutes using not headless mode. Let's see, what else was I going to ask about? I also wanted to know. Oh, yes. So, is it possible right now to form a mesh? Like, is it sort of can every identity I have, can it all join the same big mesh network?
So you can you can certainly connect multiple identities to the same host, right? So as with any zrock share, you have a host side and you have the client side, and typically you can have multiple clients to one host, and VPN is no different. So if I share my VPN on my Linux box and you connect and I connect, we certainly can connect together, right? And fun fact, it will actually forward packets from me to you.
Oh, really? So you can
Yeah,
send them back again?
yeah. Uh,
Oh,
so, so that
no,
so
that's
that
neat.
works, but it's not. I wouldn't call it a mesh, but um, we do have plans to make it into more of a mesh. But once somebody can actually define what that means.
Well, I mean, it's always nice to do a thing and see how people use it. And then when people
Yes.
say, hey, it doesn't do a thing I need it to do, well, then we go and make it do a different thing, right?
Right.
So it sounds kind of like the VPN server is able to contact all of the accessing endpoints. Is it all of them? So like if you had one server in the middle, so to speak, and a bunch of accessors, can an accessor talk to an accessor? So like let's say I go out to my Linux box in the cloud that runs zrock and OpenZD and all kinds of stuff, and I start a private VPN out there, and then you access it and I access it. Can I SSH to you through that, or does it only work one leg and one
It
leg?
should be able to.
Uh, Okay, well, I think we're gonna have to try that.
You have to try it. Yeah, I think I know we have certain bugs right now where like Mac OS behaves a little bit different from Linux OS for
Hmm.
a number of reasons. But we could certainly try it. If you have
Sure. I mean,
a Linux box, we can. So let me start my share. Unless you want to start a share.
well, I mean, what I was going to ask actually, what sort of fun things did you want to show or do today? I mean, I've been driving this along, but if you wanted to do something or show something special, then let's do that.
So one thing I could show is that I have Linux and Mac at home. So I'm
Yep.
sitting presenting on my MacBook Air. I have a Linux laptop at home. Now, I feel kind of weird demonstrating that I can log in from one laptop at home to another laptop at home.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's honestly, I do that all the time. Totally know what you mean, and I'm like, yeah, just trust me. Trust me that
Right. So
computer over there, I'm actually going through the ZD cloud to,
so
to get
it's
there.
actually more fun to say, I start my share on my box and have you connect to it,
Sure.
right? So that's a little bit less, smoke and mirror than
Yep.
me
Well, do you
connecting
want
to
to
my
do
own.
you want to start there?
Yeah. So do you want me to share a screen? Is that
Yeah. Go ahead and share
possible?
one screen, and I'll share a screen, and then what I'll do is I'll position them so my screen is on the left and yours is on the right, and don't forget to make your terminal comically large because otherwise it's not
Can
legible.
you see my terminal?
Not yet. You have to share the screen.
Okay. Here we go.
And hopefully Mac will, if you're on Mac, it's always a challenge. So we should have started the stream off by, trying that out.
Yeah. So unable to share screen.
Yeah, that's what I expected.
Okay. So no, but
So no.
so regardless, we can still do the demo. I just can't show what I'm doing.
Sure.
Uh,
And you
so,
should,
but
so people can see my screen here.
yeah,
Let's see. Let me find it and put it in the right place. Do. It's apparently right smack dab in the middle. And there we go. All right, so if I do an LS, now people can see my screen on the left and us, so we can go from here.
so I'm just gonna narrate what I'm doing. I'm starting my zrock share private -b VPN. Asking for my password. All right, and it started. So I'm gonna copy the command to access, just like you would normally do. I'm gonna paste it into Clint in the private chat.
Okay, doke. I have received it, so I'll do the sudo -e access. Put in my password. And now I didn't use front end on purpose so that you could see what this would look like. And now that we've seen what it could look like, I'm going to go back to headless so that I can have two windows on the same machine. And I'll just squish this up here, make it comically large. And then before you had made an account for me, we had shared my public key with you. So I should be
Yep.
able to SSH to Clint at Hermes -I dot SSH ID
Well, it probably
ED.
wouldn't be
Yeah.
Hermes because you don't know what Hermes is, right?
Oh my goodness, you're right. I cheated. I know where it is, but I don't know where it is. So by default, the IP becomes 10.122.0.1. Is that the one?
Yep. Yep.
Now, I'm surprised you didn't use 2171, by the way. I wanted to ask you about that. You started 2171 a while back, and I liked it. And so I've been using 2171 for things like user IDs and groups. And
21. So it doesn't work for IPs, right? Because you want to be in one of the private IP ranges. So that's where the 10 comes from. But 122 is an ASCII code for Z, so that's why 122 is there.
I see. I see. Well, because I had done this earlier, and one of the things I'm going to show is how to change this IP address. And I used 2171 because I enjoy it. All right, so here we go, and there we are. So I have now SSH'd myself over to Eugene's and everybody who pays attention, Hermes machine, because that's why I typed Clint at Hermes before, because I remembered Clint at Hermes, but I shouldn't have. And if I do an LS inside of here, you can see I'm on a whole different machine with a whole bunch of different stuff. Examples.desktop, that's fun. All right, so that's me SSHing there. Do you have anything else on that machine? You have like any kind of thing I could curl to or anything like that?
Um, mm,
1280? No, 1280.
no. Hold on.
Gonna run a ZD Edge quick start real quick.
No, let me do.
The suspense is killing me.
Oh no, let me. I know we're not really prepared.
Come on, just run a quick start or run your favorite HTTP bin. You got a bajillion things that you run all the time over there. Or can I just do an nmap on your IP?
Okay, so yeah, on this.
You could run the zrock test endpoint. While we wait for Eugene, if anybody doesn't know, zrock does have a test endpoint, which is actually pretty neat. Test endpoint, and then it doesn't give you any output to know that it's actually running. But if you run to localhost in 9090, you'll get a cool zrock test endpoint
Right,
like
you
that.
can actually go to. I started with a simple Python server on port 8000.
On port 8000. So let me grab this and come over here and do http://paste 8000.
And
I'm still running the VPN. I just wanted to make sure I didn't control C in there. Does not seem to be coming through. I got the right IP, 10.122.0.1.
yeah,
Yes.
why are you doing that
Okay.
in the browser?
Well, oh, Clint's in in WSL land. That's
Yeah.
why. There we go. So because I am running Windows, if anybody didn't notice, and I started my zrock VPN inside of Windows subsystem for Linux, which also I didn't talk about. I just showed a bash shell. But because I did that, the 10.122.0.1 is only going to be available inside of Linux land. They don't share the networks in that way. But that makes sense.
Well, one of the cool you could do is, do you have a SSH server running in your WSL?
Do I have an SSH server? SSH local host. Seems that way. Yep.
Okay, so you should be able to log in into Hermes.
Okay, let's go back to Hermes. Clint that there. Yep. Oh,
And
hey,
then
look.
you should be,
Now I know my IP address. So I can
that
SSH
was
back
not
to here, huh?
yeah, but UIP is now different because it increments every time. Actually, no, it increments every time you start a share, or access a share. But you should be able to do this. Yeah, isn't it amazing?
That is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Do I know my password? I do. Look at that. All right. So now I'm, so now I have SSH to Eugene's and then back to my own house. That's pretty cool. Now, yeah. Actually, so now can we try the other thing where we make a singular share and both of us try to SSH to each other, or I mean, I guess
All right.
I can get to
So
Hermes.
you already logged in, right? So let me try on my end. I'm gonna try to access from here. So just for viewers and listeners, I'm doing what Clint did, starting Xerox access private to that share.
Gotcha.
All right, and I'm connected from my Mac now. So let me start up a new command line window. So what was your
.3.
No, unfortunately, because I'm on a Mac, I don't think that's gonna work.
Why does the Mac matter there?
The routing is not set up on. Actually, let me do it.
We should have had a diagram for how the routes work. That would have been smart. I started while you're doing that. I've started a VPN out on a machine that runs zrock and OpenZT and all kinds of stuff. Can I have two of these access privates running at the same time?
Access privates. Yeah, you get different.
Will I get a different IP? Oh, actually, let me do that. Let me do that. So out here, I can add 110.21.
So I'm able to reach now your WSL, but I don't have the user. So
oh yeah, so you could. What did you ping the machine or you did SSH? I see. You know my Linux foo is not particularly good. If you tell me how to make a user, I can make a user.
Just do sudo add user.
Add user.
Eugene.
EK.
Yep.
Password will be I don't know. EK. Perfect. Whatever. There you go. EK with a password of EK.
Okay. So let me log in. And I'm there, and you should be able to do who or W. Yeah, try that.
Who?
Yeah, just do who.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
You see,
look
I'm
at
logged
that.
in.
From .4. That's actually really neat. So it is point to point to whoever's accessing the central VPN server thing.
Yeah.
That's super cool. That's really neat. I didn't realize it worked like that. Very neat.
Yeah, there are some quirks. I had to, add another route on my Mac so that it's going to work. But yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, is there something else that we haven't shown?
No, that's it. I would just encourage everyone who watches this and watches this in the future to try it out and tell us what's missing. Tell us how awesome it is.
Yeah, for sure.
And join us in Discourse and let's talk about there.
Yeah, I love it, man. This was really fun. Don't forget the doc out here starting VPNs. You can follow along. If you haven't, if you read the doc and get confused, you can come back to this video. And I mean, I think that was a cool Ziti TV. It's going to be a relatively reasonable one this week. Not so long as it sometimes is. So cool. All right, Eugene. Well, thanks for showing up and showing off the zrock VPN.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me again.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you later and see